we are moving on to the next chapter, that is chapter number 17, Rectification of Errors. It is almost similar to journal entry chapter. We will be rectifying errors through journal entries. So, you must be thorough with basic journal entries. Okay. Now, what is the meaning of trial balance? You have learned this chapter before, trial balance. What is its meaning? It is a statement prepared to check the arithmetical accuracy of the books of accounts. Arithmetical accuracy means whether the journal entries written or recorded in journal and whether the postings made in ledger are correct or not. We are checking this by preparing the trial balance. And before we do financial statements, that is trading P&L and the balance sheet, we are doing trial balance. So, the order is journal, ledger, trial balance, trading and P&L, finally the balance sheet. Okay. So, trial balance is prepared before the financial statements to check whether the entries and the ledger postings are correct or not. How will you confirm whether it is correct or not? When the debit side, the debit total of trial balance is equal to the credit total, that means agreement of the trial balance. When trial balance agrees, we normally say that it is free from errors. But we can't confirm it as it is always free from errors. Though the trial balance agrees, that means though it shows debit and credit sides as equal, there can be some errors. So, that is what we are going to discuss now, different types of errors. Some errors will be diagnosed through the preparation of trial balance. When you do trial balance, when you get debit and credit sides as different amounts, you can identify that there are some mistakes. That is the meaning of errors which can be identified from trial balance. But there are certain other errors which can't be identified. That means trial balance will agree, the debit and credit sides will be same, but even then there would be some errors. Okay, so we will be discussing all these types of errors now. You give the heading types of errors. The first one, error of complete omission. You write, it is there in your chapter, in your textbook it is there. So, the explanation you can learn from your textbook. You have to write it in your notebook also. Look into the textbook, refer it, read it, then you have to write it in your notebook. Okay, I will be explaining this in the video, but you have to write notes with that. So, first one, error of omission. Errors of omission, and this one is again divided into error of complete omission and we have error of partial omission. Okay. So, we have error of complete omission and error of partial omission. Error of complete omission means it is completely omitted. Omitted means we are not recording it. Completely omitted from the books of accounts. Suppose you didn't record a transaction in journal. Will it be posted in ledger? No. If it is not there in journal, it can't be posted in ledger. It won't appear in trial balance also. Automatically the trial balance will agree. Agree means it will show the same answer on both sides, but there are some errors. Understood? Suppose you purchased, this is the example which you can write here. Any example you can write, purchased goods for rupees 20,000 suppose. And we know that we have to record it in journal first, or if it is a credit transaction like purchase goods on credit, where will you record this transaction? This will be first recorded in purchases book. We have learnt this subsidiary book to record the credit purchases. So, this will be recorded in purchases book. Okay. But suppose you forgot or you didn't record this transaction in purchaser's book, completely omitted from the books. That is called error of complete omission. Or you can write sold goods put rupees 20,000 on credit and you didn't record it in sales book. Credit sales must come in sales book. We didn't record it in sales book. We omitted. That means it is again an error of complete omission. Understood? Will it affect the agreement of the trial balance? No. When it is completely omitted, it will not affect the agreement of the trial balance. Meaning is trial balance will tally or trial balance will agree. Understood? Or sometimes it can happen like this. Purchased furniture on credit. Purchased furniture on credit. Where are we supposed to enter this transaction? Since it is a fixed asset purchased on credit, we can't write it in purchaser's book. You just refer the meaning of purchaser's book. First, it should be on credit basis. It must be something in which the firm deals in. It must be some goods, not fixed assets. So, if it is fixed assets which you purchase on credit, this must go to the journal. Okay? Suppose you recorded it in journal but not posted to ledger. The entire entry, the entry is actually furniture account debtor to, suppose it is purchased from Ram. So, furniture account debtor to Ram's account will be the journal entry. You recorded the entry in journal but omitted to post it into ledger. That is again error of complete omission. Will it affect the trial balance? No, because on the basis of ledger we are doing trial balance. This particular item or transaction will not appear in ledger. So, both these accounts will not appear in trial balance. Automatically trial balance will tally, but again there are errors. Understood? So, error of complete omission will not affect the agreement of trial balance. The second type of error of omission is error of partial omission. You take the same example, this one, the last example, purchased furniture on credit. You can write the same example. We'll take the amount also for rupees 30,000. So, this is the entry we are supposed to write. Furniture account debtor to Ram's account 30,000. If it is error of partial omission, suppose you recorded this journal entry in journal, amounts also you wrote correctly, but when you posted it into ledger, you prepared furniture account, okay, the ledger account, furniture account you prepared and you posted it as to Ram, the debit side you wrote and the amount also you wrote 30,000, but you omitted or you forgot to prepare Ram's account. So, here furniture is getting debited with 30, but credit side, I mean Ram's account we haven't prepared. So, when you do trial balance, the credit side will be showing a shortage of 30,000. Understood? Because we haven't prepared Ram's account. This is called partial omission. One of the accounts we have prepared, the other ledger account we omitted. So, that can be an example of partial omission. It will affect the trial balance. Okay? The notes you must write in your book. With examples you must write. Then, second type of error is error of commission. We have subheads for this. So, this is error of commission, which includes error of recording, error of posting, error of casting and error of carrying forward. All these 4 subheads with explanation and example you must write in your book. So, the first one is error of recording. Okay, this is error of recording. Recording says or recording meaning is entering the transactions. Where are we entering it first? In journal. So, some mistakes happening in journal, that is the meaning of error of recording. The example what we can say is, take the same example, the previous example, that is purchased goods from Ram. Though it is not mentioned on credit, it is understood it's on credit because the name is there. So purchased goods from Ram 30,000, the same example. And the journal entry we know it is purchases debtor to Ram's account. I think there we wrote purchase furniture, isn't it? Okay. In thing you can write purchase furniture or purchase goods, but the entry you must write correctly when you write the example. So here purchase goods, so I wrote purchases debtor to Ram. The amount is actually 30, but I wrote 3000 in my books. These are the mistakes which you people commit for your exams. So this is again a type of error, that is error of recording. When you recorded it in journal, you made a mistake with your amount. Or suppose you would have written the entry not in a correct way, like you would have written like furniture debtor to Ram. When you purchased goods, you would have written the entry like furniture debtor to Ram or fixed assets debtor to Ram. Again, that is also an error of recording. So this error happens while you record a transaction in journal. This can be the example. Then second error under error of commission is error of posting. This is error of posting. Posting, the word meaning you know, it is transferring entries from journal to ledger. So this happens in ledger. This mistake happened in journal. This happens in ledger. Like suppose you recorded the entry correctly in journal, like purchases debtor to Ram, you recorded correctly 30,000. Okay. Now, when you prepared the ledger accounts, you prepared purchases account, you prepared Ram's account also. This is not error of omission. So, you prepared both the accounts, posted it correctly. On the debit side of purchases, you wrote to Ram 30,000, and then Ram's account, when you prepared the credit side, you wrote by Ram, not 30, the amount you made a mistake. By Ram 3000 to Ram, sorry, this is not to by Ram, this is by purchases. The posting will be the name of other account, so by purchases. By purchases 3000, the amount we made a mistake. Then purchases debit side we wrote to Ram 3000. This was the posting we did. Now the mistake is with respect to the amounts. So will it affect the trial balance? Will your trial balance agree or will your trial balance tally? Yes, of course it will tally. Though we have written a different amount, actually it is less, 27,000 less. We have written only 3,000. Instead of 30,000, we wrote only 3,000. So 27,000, there is a shortage. But on the basis of ledger, we are doing the trial balance. We will not refer the journal while you do the trial balance. We will just look into ledger and transfer it into trial balance. So that time, debit and credit sides, we will be writing 3,000 each. So of course, your trial balance will tally, but still we have some errors. Understood? So there can be errors even if your trial balance tally. So this is one such error. So error of posting, what we can write is mistake that happens while we transfer entries from journal to ledger or while we post a transaction in ledger. So this is one example you can write there. You need not write the format and show, you just have to write it as sentence, like purchased goods from Ram for rupees 30,000, but it was posted as 3,000 in purchases account and Ram's account. That's the only thing you need to write. You need not write it as a format and all. This is for you to understand only. Okay, next. So this will not affect the trial balance, but there are situations in which error of posting may affect the trial balance. The example what we can do is the same example. We did purchases account, the ledger account we prepared. We wrote to Ram, amount we wrote correctly 30,000, that is the correct amount now, 3,000 is the wrong amount. Then Ram's account we prepared and we wrote by purchases on the credit side. There we wrote only 3000. If this is the posting, this will of course affect the trial balance. Affecting the trial balance means the trial balance will not tally. Because the debit side is 30, credit side is 3000, of course it will not tally. Understood? But if you are writing the same amount on both sides, though the amount is wrong, though it is not 30, if you write the same amount on both sides, trial balance will tally. But in this case, trial balance will not tally. These type of errors we can easily identify, because when trial balance does not agree, we will recheck the journal entries and ledger accounts. Otherwise, we will confirm that it is free from errors. But still there can be errors. So, error of posting may or may not affect the trial balance. Understood? These are two different situations under error of posting. Then we have, again under error of commission we are discussing this. Third subhead, error of casting. Casting means totaling. The word meaning of casting is totaling. That means a mistake happened while we were totaling or while we were adding. We know that credit purchases of goods will be recorded in purchases book, and after that we usually add all those amounts, isn't it? We will write purchases account DR, debtor, the amount will be written in the amount column, the total amount. So, while you were adding these items or amounts, you made a mistake. That can be called as error of casting. So, purchases book, when we totaled, we got 10,000, but when we wrote it as 1 lakh. Usual mistake which you people do. So, it is relatable for you people. You can easily remember these examples. Understood? It was actually 10,000, but while you added, you got 1 lakh. Or while you added, you got 20,000. Any figure you can write. Understood? So, that is called a mistake in casting or totaling. Then, so everywhere you must write examples and meaning. Then, fourth error under error of commission, that is error of carrying forward or error in carrying forward. Okay, error in carrying forward. So, error in carrying forward. Carry forward means when you take one amount from one page to the next page, you are making mistake. Okay, that is the meaning of error in carrying forward. Suppose you totaled the purchases book. Purchases book, when you added, you got the total as rupees 10,000. Okay, you did the calculation correctly, totaling was correct, there is no error in casting, but when you took this amount to the next page, you wrote 1 lakh instead of 10,000. Understood? So, from one page, when you take the amount to the next page, if you are committing a mistake, that means that is error in carrying forward. Or you wrote carry down figure correctly, when you wrote the brought down figure, you wrote 1 lakh instead of 10,000. That is also error in carrying forward. Understood? So, with this, error of commission is over. So, under error of commission we have 4, that is error of recording, posting, casting, carrying forward. The third one is, third main heading is error of principle. This is error of principle. We know that we have learned so many accounting principles, concepts, conventions and all, and we are doing all problems based on these basic accounting principles. So, we are supposed to follow all these accounting principles so that there will be a uniformity in preparation of financial statements of all firms, so that it is easy for comparison. The users of information can easily understand it, compare it, get the better results using these information. So, error of principle means if you record a transaction against any of the accounting principles or in contravention, that is a word used in the textbook, you also use the term in contravention of accounting principles. In contravention means against the accounting principles, that is called error of principle. The best example is, what we can say is, paid wages for construction of building. Amount is 50,000. What will be the journal entry for this transaction? You paid wages, but it is for the construction of building, means it is a capital expenditure. Expenditure incurred on purchase or renovation of fixed assets. That's called capital expenditure. So, this is a capital expenditure. We have learned these entries before, and you must write the journal entry as building account debtor to cash 50,000. This is the correct entry, but instead of that, you wrote wages account debtor to cash account 50,000. This is the wrong entry, but will it affect the trial balance? No. Trial balance will agree because the amounts are same. Understood? Instead of building, you recorded wages. That's the only difference. But trial balance will agree because there we are not checking whether the accounts are correct. We are just checking whether the debits and credits are equal. Debits and credits will be equal since the amounts are same. Understood? But you consider it as a revenue expenditure. When you do or when you write wages debtor to cash, you are considering it as a revenue expenditure. But actually it is a capital expenditure. Understood? So, this is against the accounting principle. We have a classification like revenue expenditure and capital expenditure. So, when you write wages debtor to cash, instead of this, it is against the accounting principle, but the trial balance will agree, but still we have some errors in the transaction. This is the mistake you people committed already for your exam. Most of you wrote this answer, wages debtor to cash, but actually the answer was building debtor to cash. So, that is against the accounting principle. So, this is the error of principle. The last one is fifth one. Compensating errors. Okay. So, compensating errors, the name itself says the meaning, compensating. The effect of one error is cancelled or compensated by another error of same amount, meaning this sentence itself you can write. The effect of one error getting nullified, that is a word used in the textbook, nullified or cancelled by another error of same amount. Suppose you had to debit Rahul's account to be debited with rupees 500, but you debited it with 5,000. Okay, to be debited with 500, instead you debited with rupees 5,000. This was the mistake. Now, same type of error you committed, like Sam's account you had to debit with rupees 5,000, the reverse will take. Sam's account you had to debit with rupees 5,000, instead of that you debited it with rupees 500. If this is the situation, okay, this is the example. Here Rahul's account you had to debit only with 500, but you debited with 5,000. Again the figure is wrong. Then some other transaction happened in the firm and Sam's account you debited with 5,000 but actually you had to debit only with 500. It is the reverse actually, the amounts. Okay, the name is different, the accounts are different, but when you add the trial balance, we are just checking the amounts again. So here, in the first transaction, instead of 500, we wrote 5,000, that's a mistake. Here it is the reverse. But since it is the same amount, in both these transactions, the amounts are same, this error will get nullified. Nullified means cancelled. The effect of one error, we have mistake in both these transactions, but effect of one error is getting cancelled by the effect of another error of same amount. And these type of errors are called compensating errors, which will not affect the trial balance, meaning is trial balance will agree or trial balance will tally. Understood? So these are the different types of errors which you have to learn in this chapter. This can be asked for theory portion also, which are the different types of errors. So you must learn this with examples, explanation and example you must learn. Okay.